Hey friends, let's get back to American Miscellany. So, you know, the last one was rough. It was rough. Essay number 165 in this big beautiful book was a speech, and I guess like back in 1865, like that was their only entertainment is speeches. Like for live entertainment, that and music, and you know, so this guy, I guess he was conscripted to write an hour-long speech about George Washington, which was, well, it was an hour long, and it definitely was about George Washington and how wonderful he was, but man, was that repetitive and rough. Oh, I feel so bad for that audience way back then, listening to this guy go on and on for an hour. Oy. Can you imagine if our politicians did that nowadays? Like, talk for an hour about how great George Washington was? I mean, but you know what? It's going to get better. I'm sure of it. Look at this one. It's got a dog ear on it. That means, maybe, that somebody who read this book once, sometime in the past 161 years, decided that this essay was particularly interesting, and it does sound interesting. Visitations of Pestilence. I mean, right? That could be very interesting. So, so we've been moving on in our book. So once again, this is called American Miscellany, published in 1865. Our previous essay was essay number 165 about the Washington National Monument, laying the cornerstone of that thing. And here we are now at essay number 166, sure to be exciting because it's been dog-eared for, what do you think, 100 years? Maybe just 40, I don't know. But let's see what's under this dog ear here on page 441 of American Miscellany, essay number 166, Visitations of Pestilence. Since the Christian era, there have been recorded 20 extensive European pestilences, besides others whose devastation was more local. In the year 265, a pestilence burst on the Roman Empire. In the year 265, just to be clear, the year 265, a pestilence burst on the Roman Empire, then comprehending the civilized world. It continued for 15 years and raged without interruption in every province, in every city, and almost every family of the empire. During some time, 5,000 persons died daily in Rome. A reference to the registry of Alexandria shows that above half the population of that city has perished. And could we venture to extend the analogy to the other provinces, we might suspect that war, pestilence, and famine had consumed in a few years the moiety of the human species. In the middle of the 6th century, Constantinople, then the capital of the world, was startled by the approach of the plague. From the terror of the time, it is difficult to discover its origin, but it was supposed to have come from Egypt. Its mortality was indescribable. During 3 months, 5, and at length 10,000. During 3 months, 5, and at length 10,000 persons died each day in Constantinople. Many cities of the east were left vacant, and in the several districts of Italy the harvest and vintage perished on the ground. The disease pursued a double path. It spread to the east over Syria, Persia, and the Indies, and penetrated to the east along the coast of Africa and over the continent of Europe. This pestilence was of such peculiar malignity that it was not abated by the changes of the seasons. In time it vanished, but revived, and it was not till the end of the calamitous period of 52 years that mankind recovered their health, or the air recovered its salubrious quality. 50 years of bad air. The triple scourge of war, pestilence, and famine afflicted the subjects of Justinian, and his reign is disgraced by a visible decrease of the human species, which has never been repaired in some of the fairest countries of the globe. Another most memorable pestilence was brought by the commerce of the Levant to Europe in the middle of the 14th century. In the imperfect narratives of those days of universal distress, the place of the origin and the degree of the havoc in the East remains unknown. But its first mortality in Europe was felt along the borders of the Mediterranean. From those, slowly but with irresistible progress, and boundless waste of life, it ascended toward Germany and continued advancing to the north, until it ceased through the want of victims. From its first appearance in the Levant to its close, it ravaged Europe for nearly 3 years. It was calculated to have destroyed a third part of the whole population. In those general devastations, London frequently suffered, but the plague of 1665 has made the deepest impression on the national memory. Though scarcely passing beyond the limits of the capital, then perhaps not a third of its present size, its mortality was vast and almost exterminating. A large part of the population had fled into the country. Yet from the beginning of June to the end of the year, the deaths exclusively by the plague were calculated at 68,000. A large portion of this mortality might probably have been prevented by due precaution and the early employment of medical science. The closeness of the streets, the crowding of the people, and the habitual disregard of ventilation must have fostered this dreadful disease, but they cannot account for its origin, for its direction, or for its virulence. These were independent of man. It has been remarked as extraordinary that the Mosaic law, which contains so many regulations on the prevention and treatment of disease, should have made no provision against the plague. And the twofold reason has been assigned to the ravages of the disease were so rapid as to make all precaution useless, and that human sagacity must be the best guide in a disease whose coming depended on such a variety of circumstances. The more probable reason appeared to me its being regarded as the direct weapon of divine judgment, against whose power the law, of course, would offer no means of contending. We observe that Moses spoke of it as the direct equivalent to slaughter, lest he smite us with pestilence and the sword. The divine displeasure on the numbering of people by David was expressed by giving him the choice of 3 punishments: 7 years famine, 3 months flight before an invader, or 3 days of pestilence. It conveys an intense conception of the horrors of pestilence. That even the word of inspiration should regard its 3 days to be equal to 3 months of slaughter by the rage of man, or even 7 years of famine, both the deepest trials of mere national endurance. The king chose pestilence as being the most rapid and exclusive action of the divine wrath. And David said, "Let us fall now into the hand of the Lord." So the Lord sent a pestilence upon Israel from the morning even to the time appointed, and there died of the people even from Dan to Beersheba 70,000 men. 2 Samuel 24:15. Another remarkable circumstance is that no plague ever appeared to have produced a moral reform. Instead of the natural awe of heaven, it seems to have been signalized by the wildest excess, by the fiercer crimes and more reckless carousels of despair. Rebellion, murder, and the frantic indulgences of every passion and appetite have in general characterized the progress of the mortality. Thucydides Thucydides dates the especial profligacy of Athens from the era of the plague. "Let us eat and drink, for tomorrow we die," is the strong expression used by Isaiah to represent the last mad festivity of a city about to be stormed, and despairing of resistance, the words used by St. Paul to express the condition of man, hopeless of immortality, were evidently the popular impulse to the majority of instances, perhaps in all. The plague was simply a divine punishment, the scourge, and not the teacher.